In 2020, Bill Gates made headlines for becoming the largest private farmland owner in the US.
Bill Gates owns a ton of farmland in the US, as in 270,000 acres. That makes him the largest landowner in the US. Some conspiracy theories say that he's buying too much land in order to control the food supply in US and also to grow his wealth. Supporters, on the other hand, say Bill Gates is buying farmland to help with conservation and deforestation, so that helps with climate change. Which one is true? Or can the reason simply be that he knows what almost every rich person knows, that land, particularly farmland, is a great investment? Chapter 1. Is Bill Gates really buying farmland? So Bill Gates started buying farmland in 2013 through a web of limited liability companies across the country. He now owns nearly 270,000 acres spread across 18 US states. His largest holdings are Louisiana, 69,071 acres, Arkansas, 47,927 acres, Nebraska, 20,588 acres. Additionally, he has a stake in 25,750 acres of land on the west side of Phoenix, Arizona, which is being developed as a suburb. According to the Land Report's research, this portfolio of Bill Gates' land is held either directly or through third parties by Cascade Investment, Bill Gates' personal investment vehicle. But conspiracy theories have claimed that he owns up to 80% of US farmland. That's an outrageous claim and is untrue. Bill Gates himself answered this question on an AMA session on Reddit. He was asked, "Why are you buying so much farmland? Do you think it's a problem with the billionaire wealth and how much you can disproportionately acquire?" Bill responded, "I own less than 1/4,000 of the US farmland. I have invested in these farmlands to make them more productive and to create more jobs. There isn't a grand scheme involved. In fact, all these decisions are made by a professional investment team." In case you're wondering, that 1/4,000 of the US farmland is roughly equivalent to the 270,000 acres that we spoke about. That would be roughly around 350 square miles, roughly about the size of Fort Worth, Texas. Still a huge amount of land. So Bill Gates' large ownership of US farmland has led to several conspiracy theories. The first one among them is that Gates is planning control of world's food supply. This is perhaps the most common conspiracy theory about Gates' farmland ownership. Some people believe that Gates is buying farmland in order to control US and the world's food supply and manipulate the price for his advantage. Others worry that he is going to use his control over farmland to force people to adopt a plant-based diet. The way this theory works is that Bill Gates and his friends would first perfect the plant-based lab-produced meat known as fake meat. Then they will push to ban or outlaw most cattle in the guise of climate control.
The cow actually feeds not on grass, but on bacteria and its waste products.
Unfortunately for the climate, the product of enteric fermentation in the cow's stomach is belching of methane.
This would force people to only then buy the lab meats, thus making Gates and team even more rich. I have to agree that this one seems an eerily real possibility, even though there is no real proof. The next conspiracy theory is that Gates is planning to depopulate the planet. Some conspiracy theory really believe that Gates is part of some secret cabal of elites who are planning to depopulate Earth. So they argue that Gates' investment in farmland is his way of controlling the food supply and then further that goal of depopulating the planet. The next one, conspiracy theory that is that Gates is trying to create a new world order. This theory believes that a small group of wealthy people will control all the land and all the food supply, and the rest of the population will be almost like their slaves. And last but not the least, a conspiracy theory believes that Gates is secretly working for China. According to this theory, Gates works for China and his investment in US farmland is a way to give China control over US food supply. Now, this particular conspiracy theory originated because China has also been active in the US farmland space. Chapter 2. China and other foreign actors on US farmland space. According to USDA's Farm Service Agency report, foreign persons had an interest over about 40 million acres land in the US as of December 31st, 2021. One particular concern is that foreign ownership is increasing at a fast pace for agricultural cropland, the most fertile type that is used to plant crops. Chinese firms have expanded their presence in US by snapping up farmlands. By the start of 2020, Chinese owners control about 192,000 acres of US farmland, worth about $1.9 billion, including land used for farming, ranching, and forestry, according to US Department of Agriculture. China has also been a major player in US agribusinesses. In fact, a Chinese company paid $4.7 billion to buy Smithfield Foods, world's largest pork producer.
1 year ago this month, a Chinese company bought America's largest pork producer, Smithfield Foods.
And they paid more than the company's prevailing market value at that time. And just by buying this one company, China now controls more than 25% of the pork supply in US. So naturally, some people have expressed concern that Chinese ownership of US farmland and agribusinesses can pose a national security risk. They worry that China could use these farmlands and agribusinesses to not only control US food supply, but also to gain sensitive secret information about the US food supply chain. On the other hand, some people argue that foreign investment in US farmland is actually a positive development that can bring capital and investment to the agricultural sector. They also believe that US government has adequate guardrails and safeguards in place to avoid foreign entities from completely controlling the US farmland space. So there are key arguments in favor of foreign investments. First, obviously, is that foreign investments can bring much needed capital to the farm sector, and this capital can be used to modernize farms, improve infrastructure, and bring new innovative technologies. Foreign investors can also allow US farmers to access new markets for their products, including sales and profits. Foreign investors can also bring new technology and expertise to the US farm sector, which can improve productivity and efficiency. And finally, these investments, like all other investments, will likely create more jobs both in rural and urban areas. So overall, foreign investments in the US farm sector has the potential to bring broad benefits to US economy. However, it's also very important to carefully consider the risk of foreign investment, such as loss of control over US farmland and even loss of jobs. The US government should implement policies that maximize benefit of foreign investments while minimizing the risk to national security. So while foreign governments and companies may have their own reason to invest in farmland, one fact has always remained undisputed. The rich has always liked investing in land, particularly farmland. But why do they do that? Chapter 3. Why the rich like farmland.
America is enormous. Yet 100 of the richest and largest private landowners in America own 1.86% of all the land available in the United States.
The American Farmland Trust, an agriculture conservation nonprofit, noted in a recent report that seniors 65 and older control more than 40% of the agricultural farmland in the US. So they are likely to sell these lands sooner or later. That would mean an impending transfer of more than 370 million acres of US farmland over the next 2 decades. So who is likely to buy these farmland? You guessed it, rich like Bill Gates. But if the rich buy too much of farmland, this may lead to some problems. See, when wealthy buy too much land, this can lead to concentration of land ownership in very few hands. And this can give these few individuals undue influence over the US food supply. And when wealthy buy these lands, it may also mean that less and less land is available to young farmers and those who want to start new farmlands. Another very important impact is on local communities. See, when wealthy start controlling more and more lands, then the local communities lose the right to decide the land use, how land is being used in their own community. And this can be problematic because these wealthy individuals may have different priorities. They may decide to conserve land where the local communities wanted to build, or vice versa. They may want to build something where local communities are more for conservation. The rich like the physical aspect of owning large quantity of land, but they also do it because it's a great investment. According to Knight Frank 2017 billionaire report, farmland was the third most favorite investment for billionaires after art and real estate. The report also showed that the rate of farmland investment has increased by 60% over the last 5 years. According to Mother Jones, the average price of farmland increased 6 times between 1940 to 2015, and this trend is likely to continue as the available land in US continues to shrink actually because of climate-related events. Farmland is also a big inflation hedge. It has demonstrated resilience during inflationary periods as compared to other asset classes. So this demonstrates that during the times of increased inflation, farmland is actually the best investment and acts as a capital preservation tool, even better than private real estate. So can you and I leverage farmland like the rich? Yes. The good news is that there are a few ways in which even retail investors can make farmland as part of their diversified portfolio. See, if you have money and access, you can look to directly buy some farmland. While this may be a possibility for some, it may not be feasible for most of us. The other option for most retail investors is to use REITs, REIT, Real Estate Investment Trusts. Here are two publicly traded REITs that currently focus on buying farmlands and leasing them to farmers. Farmland Partners, FPI, and Gladstone Land Corporation, that goes by the ticker LAND. Any investor with a brokerage account and money to buy at least one share can invest in these REITs. This makes them the most accessible and low-cost way for general population to invest in farmland. There are a few other options like some crowdfunding platforms, but those are typically only available to accredited investors or sophisticated investors. For everyone else, the REITs would be probably the best option. If you like this video, check out my other video about how you can become a millionaire even with a low income. I would also appreciate if you can give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.